We are recording, Council President.
Good morning. This is your Detroit City Council President, Brenda Jones, the Citizen's Voice, joining you for coffee and conversation. We also are live on Facebook at facebook.com/CP Brenda Jones. Again, that's facebook.com/CP Brenda Jones. For those who would like to see the panelists. This morning, like all mornings, I began by thanking God for waking me up. This is the day that the Lord has made, so we must and we will rejoice and be glad in it. When someone asks me how I'm doing, I say, I am blessed by the best, in spite of all of this mess. And this COVID-19 is definitely a mess. But we are Detroit, and we are strong. We are strong, and we carry on. So I'm carrying on doing what you expect me to do. And I'm hosting my regular coffee and conversations. Although most of the time I don't drink most coffee, but I do keep you informed on City of Detroit matters. Instead of being at a McDonald's or Coney Island, I'm in the comfort of my own home, just as I hope you are. And I hope you've gotten your favorite morning beverage, and let's spend some time together. We will be joined this morning by Tanya Stoudemire, the City of Detroit Budget Director and Deputy Chief Financial Officer, and Mr. Irvin Corley Jr., the Executive Policy Manager for the Detroit City Council Legislative Policy Division. I truly believe these two together have the city's entire budget in their brains, even without paper. They are a wealth of institutional knowledge on Detroit finances. The Director of Animal Care and Control, Mark Crump, and Jamal Harrison of General Services will update us on the essential services being provided by their departments. Callers will have an opportunity to ask questions following each topic. After our last presentation, I will open the lines for callers to ask questions or make comments on Detroit-related topics of their choice. Now, how do you do that? You press 9 to ask your question. And when you press 9, we know that your hand, *9, not just 9, *9. We know that your hands are raised, and we will call on you to ask your question. Remember, we are also on Facebook Live at facebook.com/CP Brenda Jones, for those of you who would like to see the panelists. We will start with Ern Harris, who will give us an update on the city's effort to have 100%, again, I'm going to say 100% completion of the 2020 census. Ms. Harris?
Good morning. Thank you, Council President.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me this morning. So the Detroit Census Campaign has been working hard even through these trying times to make sure that our self-response rate in the city continues to go up. Right now, we're at 40.1%. So every day we are inching up, but this is a plea to Detroiters, those looking on Facebook, those that are on this call. If you have not filled out your census, please do so today by going to my2020census.gov. We want to encourage people to do it online. Even though if you have not filled it out at this point, you will receive a paper form in the mail. But because of COVID-19, paper forms are being processed very slow. And so we would encourage you again to go online to my2020census.gov. We have any seniors that are listening on the phone or Facebook that may not be able to go online to my2020census.gov. There is a number that you can call and you can give your information over the phone. That number is 1-844-330-2020. Again, 844-330-2020. You do not need a 12-digit census ID to go online or to call. They do ask that. If you go online, there below the 12-digit ID request, there is a line that says, if you don't have your ID, click here. Please click that line and continue to fill out the form. You call in and they ask you for your census ID, let them know that you do not have it, and they will ask you a couple of more questions regarding your address.
Can you give that online if they need to sign in online? How do they sign in online again? What do they go to?
Absolutely. So you go to my2020, the numbers, my2020census.gov. That's my2020census.gov. And the phone number is 844-330-2020. Please do that today. We're asking that you call friends, family members, neighbors, encourage them to do it, and do that as soon as possible so we can get our self-response rate up. The Detroit campaign planned over 90 events, and of course we had to cancel them due to COVID-19, but we are getting creative with some of the things that we're doing. Like eventually we will be doing virtual concerts. So please stay tuned to that. I'm sure it will be on Facebook. And so we will send out a mass email regarding the events, the virtual events that we will be doing. Again, you will receive a paper form in the mail, but if we can encourage you to go online to my2020census.gov or call 844-330-2020, that would be great. Thank you very much, Council President. And I appreciate you allowing me to come on and talk about the census.
Thank you so very much for that update. Do we have any callers, any questions for Ms. Harris? Remember, if you have a question, just press *9 and you will be able to ask the question that you have. I think I see a couple of hands raised. If we can call out the last 4 digits of the phone number.
So we have caller number 867. You are unmuted. You can go ahead.
Is that 865?
865. I'm sorry, 865.
865. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I was wondering, so we're at 40% right now in terms of census response rate. Do you recall what we might have been at about 10 years ago? I know the goal for this campaign was to beat the rate of 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see how it might stack up.
Yeah, so I don't know. I do not have the information as to where we were right at this point 10 years ago.
Sure.
But our overall response rate that we're trying to get to is 70%. 10 years ago, we were at 64%, which was a drop from 2000. So yes, we're trying to inch our way back up to 70%. And but like I said, every day we are getting there. We're just moving a little slow because of the paper form. And also, I did not say that Detroit received the most number of paper forms in the mail. And so that's another reason why our numbers are a little low at this point, because they are counting them very slowly. So as compared to other cities. So once they start to count them more, our numbers will go up higher. But in the meantime, please go online to fill it out.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much for that question and that answer. I think our next caller question is from caller, the last three digits are 357. 357. You are unmuted.
Hi, first of all, I want to say good morning to everyone and thank you for the opportunity to participate. It's a little concerning, like the previous caller, with the 40.1% of the census data being submitted, especially with the lockdown being in place. So do we truly understand why the response has been so slow? I mean, do we understand like the top 2 or 3 reasons and have sufficiency plans to address those deficiencies?
Well, the main reason why the response is so low right now, again, because of the paper form. Every day they are counting. Obviously, when you do it online, that information gets processed very fast. The paper forms are taking a lot of time. Because of COVID-19, they had to social distance their employees. And so there are not as many employees counting the paper forms as they had planned. And so right now we feel like that is the biggest issue. Of course, since we're all at home, then you would think that it would just be easy for people to get online. But please remember that Detroit has a high number of low connectivity. Where 55% of our city has internet issues. Either we don't have it or that is the biggest issue. We don't have internet. And so that's one of the reasons why we receive so many paper forms. And so, again, that's why I push that phone number, because not everybody has access to the internet. So please have people call 844-330-2020.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to see if we have any more hands raised. 357. Did we just complete with 357?
Yes, we are completed with all of our callers. You can move on.
Okay, we have completed our callers for this particular topic. Is there any last words you wanted to leave us with? Ms. Harris, I thank you and I appreciate the job that you are doing, and everyone who's working on the census. Is just so important that we remember you gotta get that census paper in. You have to get those census papers in. So much is dependent on our census count from our federal dollars. That's education money. It's just, I could go on and on and on and on to list what and why it is so important that you get your census count in. We need you, Detroit. Please, 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 if you have not called in, sent in, signed in, please do so. The census for 2020 is so very important. Ms. Harris, did I miss anything, or is there anything you want to leave us with? I know you have another meeting, but is there any last words?
So no, you said everything perfectly. Just to add a couple of things: bridge cards, special ed programs, student financial aid programs, Medicaid. Those are the programs that affect most Detroiters, and so a lot of Detroiters. And so we want to encourage everybody. Please go online, fill out your census. Don't do it for you. Do it for your neighbors. Do it for your family members, and encourage others to do it as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for joining us with that very important information this morning. Be safe and have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Tanya Stoudemire. I want to thank you for all of the work that you also do, Ms. Stoudemire, and thank you for joining us this morning. Will you please give us a brief overview of the budget and any updates regarding the city's COVID-19 expenditures, FEMA and CARES Act reimbursement money, and our current financial condition?
Good morning, Council President, and thank you so much for having me.
Good
I want
morning.
to start, I'm going to start by giving a brief overview of the budget. The mayor's recommended fiscal year 2021 city budget is $2.2 billion. This excludes the use of prior year savings. Half of those funds are restricted and can only be used for a specific purpose. For instance, water and sewer funds, construction funds, and street funds can only be used for specific purposes. The other half of the budget is the general fund, and the general fund funds services within the police department, the fire department, health, IT, law department, just to name a few. 80% of the revenue in the general fund comes from 5 major revenues: income tax, casino wagering tax, state revenue sharing, property tax, and the utility users tax. Our revenue growth is driven by income tax. Our pension, debt, and labor costs are driving our budget growth faster than our revenues. And unfortunately, our budget outlook has grown worse as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our response to COVID-19 has been swift. We are serving Detroiters during this crisis by ensuring that our community has access to testing. Since March 29th, we have been providing free COVID-19 testing at the state fairgrounds. And as of yesterday, we had provided almost 8,000 tests. The
I'm sorry,
city is
almost how
taking
many?
almost 8,000 tests.
Okay, thank you.
The city is taking every precaution to protect first responders. We have rapid testing, which has helped get officers back to work, and rigorous safety procedures ensure they stay safe while on duty. We are testing individuals in homeless shelters and nursing homes to slow the speed of the virus. Some of the things we are doing in response to COVID-19 include setting up a $3.1 million COVID-19 grant relief fund for small businesses that have been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. We are also distributing masks on the DDOT buses. We're organizing assistance for residents to receive their stimulus checks. We're hosting weekly calls with residents and districts to provide COVID-19 resources. Although COVID-19 has had an impact on our services, by launching our own testing, we have been able to safely keep essential services like police, fire, EMS, and public health operating at a high level. The city has maintained DDOT bus service without fares, and trash pickup has continued on a regular schedule. We have had to reduce service levels in areas where we are no longer able to perform or are not currently needed as a result of the stay-at-home order. So the city is no longer enforcing parking or directing traffic. We have reduced demolitions to only emergencies. Our recreation centers are closed. We have delayed many road repairs. There is no in-person BC licensing and no street sweeping at this time. We are diligently working to maximize additional funding through the Federal CARES Act. A few of the grants we anticipate from the CARES Act include the COVID Relief Fund, the Federal Transit Authority funds, and HUD and other grants. Like so many other cities and states, we are projecting a significant revenue shortfall. Due to the COVID-19 business closures and the impact on the national economy, the city of Detroit is projecting a $348 million revenue shortfall over 2 fiscal years. That's $154 million in fiscal year 20 and $194 million in fiscal year 21. This shortfall is driven by gaming revenue losses directly tied to the casino closures on March 16th. income tax reduction as employers have laid off and furloughed workers, and there is a drop in the projected national GDP. In addition, keep in mind that unemployment benefits are not subject to City of Detroit income tax. We also anticipate that state revenue sharing will be reduced due to the drop in the state sales tax. And then there are going to be other revenue losses from suspended parking enforcement, bus fare interruption to protect the drivers from the COVID-19, and a reduction in business and construction permitting activity. The federal coronavirus relief fund will not reimburse cities and states for revenue lost during the coronavirus, only new expenditures related to the pandemic. The City of Detroit is taking decisive actions to address the revenue shortfall. In early March, the CFO canceled all cash capital projects that were not yet under construction and all non-emergency demolitions that were not an urgent life safety matter. On April 3rd, the CFO issued a directive to freeze hiring and limit discretionary spending. The Chief Procurement Officer is renegotiating contracts with major vendors to achieve additional savings. The mayor is eliminating new spending initiatives originally proposed in the fiscal year 2021 budget. And to conserve revenues for operations, the administration will reduce its demolition program in fiscal year 2021, eliminate a planned rainy day fund deposit, and a supplemental retiree protection fund deposit. We are doing everything to maximize our reimbursement for COVID-19 spending from the Federal CARES Act, but these changes alone won't solve the city's revenue shortfall. The city will institute a number of workforce changes that reduce spending by $50 million over 2 fiscal years, preserve city services, and treat employees fairly. As of April 20th, the City of Detroit will lay off some temporary employees. We will reduce hours for workers who can no longer perform because of the shutdown, and they will be reduced to 8 hours of pay per 8 hours of pay period. That way, they're still active employees and they will maintain their health insurance. More than 1,300 employees will be reduced to a 4-day-a-week schedule through the WorkShare program. The mayor and appointees and other staff will receive a temporary 5% pay cut. And the city is also in the process of bargaining with all unions to eliminate the planned pay increases for July 1st of 2020. The city is working closely with the State Unemployment Insurance Agency to help employees take advantage of the expanded unemployment insurance benefits in the Federal CARES Act. And all of the unemployment applications will be submitted by the city's HR department, so that's not a burden that is going to be passed to our employees. By working early to conservatively project revenue losses, reduce expenses, and balance the budget, the city aims to stay out of active state oversight. The administration will submit an amended fiscal year 2021 recommended budget based on the updated revenue forecast. The OCFO will actively monitor revenue and economic data moving forward, and the administration will submit amendments to the budget as needed. The city will also advocate to include reimbursement for lost municipal revenue in the next federal stimulus bill. If city revenues recover and/or the federal government passes a stimulus bill that improves the city's fiscal picture, the city will look to begin gradually returning services and employee hours to pre-pandemic levels. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Let me just remind everyone that we are live on Facebook. So we are at facebook.com/City C as in council, P as in president, Brenda Jones, for those who would like to see the panelists. Remember, if you have any questions, you can also press *9. That will raise your hand. You will be able to ask the question. Thank you so much, Ms. Stoudemire. And so now we are going to go to Mr. Corley. Mr. Corley, we are ready to hear from you about what has happened so far in the budget process and a brief overview of what is expected to happen and when we are expected to complete our budget process as we go into our City Council's executive sessions. Again, if you have questions for either Ms. Stoudemire or Mr. Corley, you will be able to press *9 to ask your question. Mr. Corley?
Thank you, and again, good morning, and thank you for having me this morning. I'd like to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that's the budget process. Arguably, the budget process is the most important process for the City Council to undertake. It sets the revenues and expenditures for the upcoming fiscal year. And also now the budget process encompasses a 4-year financial plan as well. The mayor presents the budget to City Council on March the 6th, and Council initially was scheduled to have 43 budget hearings, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, Council had to suspend budget hearings and only had about 18 budget hearings. Council has been on recess due to the executive order that was put in place by Governor Whitmer, and for the safety of the employees. Council chose to remain on recess to enable, for instance, media services to be able to remotely have council sessions on video conferencing as we're doing as we speak. And so the media services department had to ramp up to be able to have the necessary equipment to do the video conferencing remotely. And so that's why the budget process will resume on Monday, April the 27th. Council will go directly into what is called executive session. There would not be any more budget hearings. There would be executive session. Executive session will go from Monday, April the 27th, and would end on Friday, May the 1st. During the executive session, Council will go through what it feels is important to be added or to be expressed to the administration, what it would like to see in the upcoming year for the budget. Then the following Monday, on May the 4th, there will be a public hearing at 5 p.m. on the budget according to the city charter. Then Council will have the ability to vote on the budget the following day on Tuesday, May the 5th, and that will be during former session. Then on Wednesday, May the 6th, the clerk's office will submit the budget with any of council's changes to the mayor and administration, and then the mayor has until Friday, May the 8th, to veto any changes that council may have to the budget. And if there aren't any vetoes, then council would have until Tuesday, May the 12th, to override any vetoes from the mayor. And it takes a supermajority of the city council to override any mayoral vetoes. So that means 6 votes. And then after that process, the budget will go back to Ms. Stoudemire and her team, and they will prepare the budget for the Financial Review Commission's review. And we have until May 30th for the FRC to receive the budget from the administration. And then thereafter, Ms. Stoudemire and her team will upload the budget into the city's financial and budgetary system. so that the appropriations will be put in place for the next fiscal year starting July 1st. But as Ms. Steidermeyer indicated, there will be changes to the budget because of the impact of the pandemic crisis. And so therefore, the budget process is really kind of going to be ongoing this year, which is different from the past. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that overview, Mr. Corley. Do we have any hands? I don't see any. Do we have any hands that are raised to ask any questions of either Ms. Stoudemire or Mr. Corley? Remember, you can press *9 if you have any questions to ask in regards to what you are hearing.
Good morning, Madam President. I don't see any hands in the queue. Well,
Okay.
as soon as I spoke, one was raised. We will
And
call
that
off.
is 865.
We'll call off the last 3 digits of your phone number, and that is 865. Caller 865, you are unmuted.
Hey there. I was wondering, are there any elements of the budget, the cuts brought up by Duggan this week that council would need to sign off on? I got word that maybe you guys would need to sign off on like reaching into the rainy day fund at that amount, or is all of that just ready to go ahead?
Ms. Stoudemire?
Thank you very much for that question. So as Mr. Corley indicated, we're going to have to do a budget amendment. And in that budget amendment, we will move dollars from the rainy day fund to offset some of the shortfall that we have in our revenues. And that will come to City Council for approval.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Remember, you just have to press *9 if you have any questions for Ms. Stoudemire or Mr. Corley. If there are no additional questions, I know, Ms. Stoudemire, you have to leave for another meeting. However, Mr. Corley, if you can stay in case there are budget-related questions at the end of the meeting, if you can stay with us, I would appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Corley. I see you shaking your head. Yes.
Be my pleasure.
And thank you. And Ms. Stoudemire, thank you so much for being here with us this morning, and we look forward to working with you to complete this budget process. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, for this opportunity to speak to our residents.
Thank you, and stay safe.
You too.
Our next panelist is Mr. Mark Crump, the Director of Animal Care and Control, and Jamal Harrison of the General Services Department, who will speak after him. And then we will also be followed with question and answers. Remember, we are also on Facebook Live. You can go to facebook.com/CP Brenda Jones for those who would like to see the panelists. Good morning, Mr. Crump. Thank you for being here. Will you just please give us some of the essential services that your department is providing at this time?
Absolutely. Well, first, we'd like to thank all Detroiters for standing up for the pets and people in the city of Detroit. I wanted to note that the live release rate, that's the number of animals going home to their owners, going to new adoptive families, and going to fosters, is at 90% right now. That is the highest rate we have ever had. And that is because Detroiters have been standing up and making sure that the pets are not forgotten during this COVID-19 pandemic. The animal resource and shelter that we are running is still in operation. A lot of folks think that we're closed. We are still running. Animal control is still out there from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m., 7 days a week. Folks can reach us by calling 313-922-DOGS, and they will reach our call center. We are still handling emergencies, sick, injured, vicious animals, and we are looking to handle other cases on a case-by-case basis. If there's an animal that needs to be picked up and needs to be sheltered, we are making sure that those accommodations are being taken care of. The animal control officers are still out on the streets patrolling. As the mayor made this an initiative, we have made sure that these essential services continue to be provided. As I mentioned, adoptions and fosters are still taking place with a little social distancing twist. We have switched to primarily online adoption services, and people can visit our Facebook page for the Friends of Detroit Animal Care and Control, or they can go to petharbor.com and choose to find a pet to adopt. And we are facilitating those adoptions online, with the final transaction taking place at the back door. We've kind of transitioned from 2020 to 1920, and we're running an adoption speakeasy. So if you come to the back door and ring the bell, the password is adoption, and animals are literally flying out the door. It is amazing. We have seen our numbers in the shelter drop from over 200 animals sheltered to less than 30, which is amazing. The folks in animal care have been making sure that all of our pets are taken care of, fed, watered, and receive medical treatment on a daily basis. And our officers in animal control under the General Services Division are making sure that the citizens' calls for service are being addressed. One other thing I'd like to mention is that pets aren't susceptible to COVID-19. We've had some questions about that. And your dogs, your cats cannot give the pandemic virus to you. So we have not seen a huge uptick in people trying to surrender their pets. We just want to make sure people have good information. We have had several pets come in, and at least one from a COVID-19 patient who was unable to care for their animal. And we'd like to remind Detroiters to have a plan in place. If you think that you may have to be hospitalized, reach out to friends, neighbors, or as a last resort, contact us at Detroit Animal Care and Control, and we can assist you with that. We've been working with the Michigan Humane Society and the Michigan Anti-Cruelty Society to ensure that we have services available for all Detroiters in this emergency. We're all in this together. And even though some pets don't follow the stay-at-home order very well, we've been trying to get those reunited with their owners as quickly as possible. We took a page out of DoorDash and Grubhub, so we have stood up our Cuddle Shuttle. And for folks who are unable to come out, we are delivering their pets to them if they are attempting to adopt or foster, bringing the love home to them. And through a kind donation from Michigan Humane Society, we have had additional pet food available for citizens who are having difficulty making ends meet. So we've been working with their pet pantry to help our most challenged Detroiters make sure that they're providing not only for themselves, but for their pets. So while it's not business as usual, it's more business as unusual at Detroit Animal Care and Control. We are making sure that we are standing up for all of our Detroiters and their pets during the pandemic.
So animals are observing the stay-at-home, stay-safe order as well, huh?
The majority of them are. Amazingly, we are not seeing, hundreds and hundreds of stray calls. Most folks are home, and because they're home, they're paying more attention to their pets instead of, unfortunately, leaving them tethered out sometimes or simply putting them out in the yard unsupervised. So there is a silver lining to the pandemic in that people have more time not only to spend with their own pets, but also to bring new pets into the family. So that's why we're seeing such a huge increase in adoptions and fosters.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I want to just ask, and I think you did cover this, again, how do residents report dangerous animals and other animal care control issues at this time?
We have our hotline number, which is 313-922-DOGS. That's 313-922-3647. And folks can call with any animal-related question or concern. That call center is staffed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And whatever their animal question is, we can get them the update they need, and we can help them if they're missing a pet or if they want to report a lost pet or a dangerous pet.
And those animal care and control officers are still responding to the complaints. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely, Council President. The officers are still out there. They are working the same shifts, covering from 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening, 7 days a week, and available for emergencies. It is a little, like I said, business unusual. We're not handling as many calls, but the officers are still out there to respond.
Okay, and I'm not sure if you covered this, and I think you did, but residents, they're still able to adopt pets if they want to adopt pets right now?
Absolutely. They can visit us virtually, look and see what we have available. They can go to Pet Harbor, PETHARBOR.com, and simply enter their zip code, and they'll be able to view the adoptable pets or visit us on Facebook. And once they make a decision, they can contact us. We conduct the meet and greet virtually by telephone, text, or email. And when they make a decision, they come down to the shelter if they're able. And if not, our Cuddle Shuttle is available to deliver the love home.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think I see one hand raised, and that is caller number 783. The last 3 digits are 783.
Good morning, Council President.
Good morning.
How are you today? And thank
I
you
am
for
blessed.
this opportunity.
I am blessed by the best. Thank you for asking.
All right. I believe the gentleman answered my question, but I'm just going to ask anyway. So if I want to renew my dog license, you are open for that, sir?
Yes, sir. We most certainly are. The online service is available, and you can go through the online portal. And when you do that, complete the transaction online, and licenses will be mailed out.
Okay. But the office is open also?
The office is only open for adoptions and foster claims. Unfortunately, our interior office is not open for the public at this time. We can handle those transactions via the internet. If you're not able to do that, you can call us. We can make in-person arrangements. And just like we can deliver a dog, we can deliver a dog license.
Okay. I would just do it online. I just wanted to confirm it just so I'd be in compliance with the new ordinance. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That dog license is your dog's best way home.
Thank you, and thank you for caring for your animal. And thank you so much. I don't see any additional hands raised at this particular time. So I just want to thank you for providing that information to us. The job that you do is very important, and we appreciate all that you are doing. I've talked so much about animal care and animal control and all of the issues that we've had in the city of Detroit, and it's something that is so near and dear to my heart. And as we continue to, even though we're dealing with COVID-19, but as we continue to deal with COVID-19, and as even the weather continues to get warmer, I'm still hoping that the animals will stay home and stay safe. And also, we stay home and stay safe. So thank you again, Director Crump, for that information.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is Jamal Harrison. Mr. Harrison, thanks for the job that you do as well. And just talk to us about some of the essential services that are being provided by General Services Department at this particular time.
Good morning, Council President.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you guys and the panel of participants in the city of Detroit. Excuse me. Yes, so General Services has been deemed an essential service for the city during this COVID-19 outbreak. So we are, certain departments are down, certain functions, I should say, are down, but mostly our departments that are currently running are facilities, building maintenance, fleet is still running, forestry is still running, ground maintenance is still running, and they are continuing to work because we have to keep the city clean, we have to keep the city moving, we have to keep the city vehicles repaired, and we have to keep the buildings functioning. And so these are all deemed essential, and including one out is forestry as well. And so we are continuing to operate through this crisis, and we will continue to do so until we get through this. GSD is also providing, we clean facilities and clean buildings on a daily basis, but because of COVID-19, we are cleaning, we are sanitizing as well as cleaning. So each GSD location is sanitized twice a day. Excuse me, that is where we go in with the proper PPE equipment and the right type of sanitizing equipment. We sanitize the entire facility, and that does include, we are sanitizing DPD locations as well as the detention center locations. And so because those are public facing facilities, we've also stationed a sanitizing crew there throughout the day. So because the lobbies are still open to the public, those lobbies are sanitized every hour on the hour. And when an officer brings a detainee to the detention center, the officer's police vehicle is sanitized at that facility. So, because we want to prevent any type of cross contamination, any type of contamination of the police, of the person in the vehicle, of the police officer himself, or even going into the detention center. We're also sanitizing our ambulances at fire apparatus. And so we are an aggressive approach to keeping this contained. And I will say, I've been pleased to see as of lately that the Detroiters are remaining at home and sheltering in place. I know it's not an easy thing to ask of everyone, but I have being out there in the vehicles throughout the day, I've seen a very decreased amount of people out there. So that's very encouraging for us because it lets us know that our work is not in vain and we are not at risk for nothing. And especially with our DPD and DFD officers and EMS crews, they are a front line of this thing for real. And anything we can mitigate for them, I want to be a part of. But general services continues to operate, and our phone lines are still open. Those phones are being answered, and when off times are being recorded, answering services. So if anybody does need to contact GSD, they can do so at 313-628-0900. But again, we are operating because we still have to keep these fleet vehicles running, the fire engines, the ladder trucks, the ambulances, the police vehicles. And so we are still operating as usual.
Okay, thank you for that information. And I don't know if I missed this, but did you talk about whether or not the department is still addressing dangerous trees?
Yes, we are. Forestry is still up and running, and we are still tree trimming and doing emergency tree trimming as well.
Okay, and so if the resident wants to report that dangerous tree, how would they get in contact with the department?
They can call. The best way to do that is through C-Click Fix. It comes directly to our forestry department, and that will get the quickest response because we have to, through COVID-19, we don't have the people answering the phones that we normally would. And so the best way is going to be through C-Click Fix. But if they have to call, if they don't have a smartphone, they can call the GSD phone number at 313-628-0900, and we will return a phone call and schedule. The tree will come out and we will examine the tree. We'll see what the issues are with it. And if it requires trimming, we will trim it.
All right, thank you. And what about the vacant lot cutting? Is that still occurring?
So yeah, we're putting together right now a lesser schedule. I'm waiting for a text message to return on that because we are still cleaning parks and we can't let the parks be overgrown because that brings, rodents and things like that. So we are still looking at doing that. And we're just now putting together a schedule to start that process. It won't be as aggressive yet as it was last year, but we will be doing a maintenance cutting on these lots and these parks.
Okay. All right. Thank you so very much. And I don't know, one of the questions that we received, and I don't know if you have the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask you whether or not it's possible for the Recreation Department to begin the virtual aerobics class.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I can find out because all our rec centers are closed. The only operations that are going on in the rec centers now are food distribution. And so without access to the facility itself, because they are closed, I'm not sure how that would work. I have seen other communities doing virtual workouts. And so that's a question I can ask Council President and get back to you.
Okay, thank you so very much. And we'll look forward to that answer. And then we will let our constituents know whether or not they will be able to get those virtual aerobics classes. I do see a hand raised. And remember, if you have any questions, you can press *9 to ask the question or to make a comment. The
Yes.
hand that I see, I'm sorry, is 783. 783, you have the floor.
Okay. Good morning again, Council President Arthur Edge again. Can that number be repeated for those that do not have access to a smartphone for GSD?
Yes, the GSD phone number is 313-628-0900.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. All right. I want to put that out to my community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there is anyone that would like to ask questions or make a comment, and the lines are now open for a question to Mr. Crump, the Director of Animal Care and Control, Mr. Harrison, Mr. Corley, or even myself. If you have any questions, please push *9 to ask any questions that you may have.
Council President, please forgive me. Mr. Crump is having some technical difficulties that I'm trying to work through with him. So he is unavailable right now. We're working to get him back up.
Okay, thank you. We do see that 534, the last three numbers, 534, have raised their hand. 534, you are unmuted.
Yes, good morning. I just want to say this is maybe not the most pressing issue, but I was just picking up garbage this morning on my block, and I was wondering at some point it might be nice to have public service announcements about do not litter, because I was picking up garbage without gloves, and then it occurred to me, gee, I wonder if there's anything on this that I'm picking up. But in general, it might be nice in the future. Again, not the most pressing issue, and thanks everybody for their work and all the first responders. But if the city could do some public service announcements about do not litter, that might be nice. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that. And we will try to get some announcements about do not litter, because that is so very important. And I'm hoping that as people are out with their mask and their gloves, taking care of their essential services, that they do not throw the mask and the gloves on the ground. We are now have another hand. It is 110. 110. You are unmuted. Good morning. 110.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask a question about the coronavirus. I saw on the news that a tiger had the virus. Is it possible for our pets to end up with the virus?
I'm sorry, you saw on the news that
a tiger had the virus, the coronavirus.
Okay.
Can our pets, are they susceptible to the virus?
Okay. I don't want to try to answer that question. I do know that one of the things that have been said is if you have pets, to please be careful. Our director has stepped away because he had another meeting, and so we will get that answer for you as to whether or not the pets can also get the coronavirus, because I don't want to try to answer that. But again, I know they're saying if you have pets, please be careful. And I know there's still so much study that is being done and so many answers that we don't have about the coronavirus as they continue to study it. But I will try to get that answer for you, and we will.
Council President, so Mark emailed me. He's not able to get in, but he did. I guess he can hear the question, and he said that no companion animals do not pass or catch it. That was his response.
All right. All right. I appreciate that, and I hope our caller heard that answer. All right. Remember, if you have any questions or any comments, you can press *9 for any questions or any comments to our General Services, Jamar Harrison, to Mr. Irvin Corley, our Legislative Policy Division, or to myself. And if there are no questions or comments, I'm going to just take the opportunity to thank all of our essential workers who are out working, who are doing an awesome job. All of our responders, police officers, fire department, EMT, all of the medical personnel that are out on the front line. I want to thank everyone who is at the state fairgrounds working to get those tested. There have been a lot of volunteers from different places that are out there. And just want to just say thank you to everyone who is working during these critical and crucial services to ensure that things are still taken care of. I want to thank those who are making sure that people have food. We have people that are delivering food. We have people that are in some of our recreation department, recreation facilities that have food available to the family, the kids, as well as the parents. So I just want to thank everyone for the job well done that they are doing. I think I see a hand raised, and that is 534. The last 3 digits of the phone number is 534. You have the floor. You are unmuted.
Yes, good morning, President Jones. Thank you for taking my call again. But when you mentioned fire, I just wanted to bring to your attention, or the fire department, that there was a fire on my block within the past 2 weeks. And somebody called me to let me know that the house across the alley was on fire. And I got outside and I looked at it, and a neighbor and I both were concerned. It looked like it was burning before they even put the hoses on it. And when I spoke with the fire investigator, he told me there were problems with the fire hydrants. So I know it's not a coronavirus threat, but that fire was pretty scary. It was pretty blazing, and so I'm concerned about the working condition of fire hydrants and what can we do to make sure they are working, because I do recall seeing a fire truck going through, I think it was in the fall, because I believe they're supposed to check, I was told they're supposed to check the fire hydrants between something like October and May, but I was very concerned about that, and if somebody can be asked to be checking those fire hydrants, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I will, my staff is taking notes, and we will be contacting them to make sure that someone is checking the fire hydrants just in case there is an emergency, that the fire hydrants are being checked. So thank you so much for that comment, and we will be on that.
Okay, thank you. And if I'm still on, I just hit *9, but I meant to mute myself, so I wasn't asking another question. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And also, I just want to let everyone know that if they have any additional questions or comments at any time, my staff is still working. We are checking our office phone at 224-1245. 224-1245. You can call, leave your question or your comment, also leave your name and a phone number that we can contact you back on, and we will get the information or get the question responded back to you. So thank you so much. Are there any other questions from any of our callers? I don't see any hands raised. Mr. Corley, can you go over that schedule again in case we had some listeners join us late regarding the council executive sessions?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So council will resume meeting on the budget starting on Monday, April the 27th. Council will go into what is called executive session. There will be no more budget hearings. So they will go into executive session. Council will deliberate over the budget, look at any maybe changes to the budget, and we'll express what the council would like the administration to take up or to focus on in the next fiscal year. And that's through the council's closing resolution. So there'll be items going into the closing resolution during executive session. And so executive session will end by Friday, May the 1st. And then on the following Monday, May 4th, would be a public hearing at 5 p.m. Public hearing. That's according to city charter. Then, then the next day, on Tuesday, May the 5th, during formal session, council will vote on the budget with any changes to the budget that they approve. And then the clerk's office will submit the budget with any changes to the budget from the council on Tuesday, May the 6th to the mayor and administration. Then the mayor has until Friday, May the 8th to veto any changes that council will put into the budget. And then by the following Tuesday, May the 12th, council, if there's any vetoes from the mayor, council could take up an override vote on the mayor's vetoes, and it takes a super majority for the council members to override a mayor veto, and that's 6 votes from council members.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Corley. I think we have heard from 534. Did we hear from 534?
Hello?
534?
Yes, this is Joanne Warwick again. Thank you for taking my call. I was hoping Mr. Corley could explain, because I understand these are unprecedented in our lifetime times, but normally we would have a month full of budget hearings, and I understand council is doing the best they can do, but could he explain to me like why this time frame? If the budget goes from July 1st to July 20th, when is the drop dead deadline that this is supposed to be done? And could that not be moved a bit because of the emergency order? Because I'm just concerned, as I'm sure you are, that it's really probably not enough time to adequately address a lot of the issues. And so I was just wondering if someone can speak to that about why this time frame. And again, I know it wasn't anybody's fault here about the coronavirus, but you know, there's some matters that I believe should have had like 3 days of hearings in themselves, the land bank. And so if someone could just address that so we could understand the budget process and why it's happening the way it is now, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
I will begin. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Corley, if you want to address, and then I'll follow you.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, unfortunately, given the impact of the coronavirus and council's concern about the safety of the employees going into the city county building, the Coleman Arizona Young Municipal Center, council chose to not suspend budget hearings because even when you have budget hearings through the video conferencing, that still required employees from media services, from the city clerk's office to go into the city county building. And you know, council did not want to risk any of those employees contacting the virus. So in order to have video conferencing and to do it remotely through the media services department, they had to make sure they had the necessary equipment to do that. And we were informed by the director of media services that it would take them until April the 25th to have the necessary equipment for them to do the video conferencing remotely. And so given that time frame, council chose to resume executive sessions and had to suspend budget hearings and resume executive sessions on Monday, the April the 27th. And then also let's keep in mind that once the budget process is done and the budget is finalized, the budget has to go to the Financial Review Commission by a set date. Well, in the past, the budget had to be submitted to the Financial Review Commission by April 30th. So given that we suspended budget hearings, we had to push back the executive sessions. And thanks to the leadership of Council President who's on the Financial Review Commission, the Financial Review Commission agreed to push back their date that they received the budget from April 30th to May 30th. So that's why we're working under this time frame whereby council, if need be, will take its final vote on the budget if there's a need for an override on May the 12th.
Okay, I think you covered what I was basically going to say, Mr. Corley, about the Financial Review Commission, who by statute we have to turn in the budget to, and they extended it from April the 30th until May. And so we have to make sure we we follow the law, the statute, that we have to give our budget to the Financial Review Commission. They are dormant right now, but they still meet once a month, and they still have to review the budget to ensure that there is not a deficit so that they don't come back from being dormant. And we want to make sure they get that budget. Again, we know that we're going to have to make some amendments. There are going to be amendments to that budget. And we are very much aware of that, but we have to get that budget to the Financial Review Commission in order to continue on the job that we are doing. And so we want to make sure we do that. Were there any additional questions or comments? Were there any additional questions or comments? I do not see any hands raised, and I know I can just talk, but I wanted to stay on the matters of the things that we were speaking about this morning. I do want to again remind people that if they want to be tested for COVID-19, for the coronavirus, they can contact the city and make an appointment to go to the state fair, the Dumas Field House to get that test. They will require a prescription from their doctor. However, if you do not have a doctor, there are doctors that are listed on the city's website. Also, if you do not have a ride to get there, someone will take you for a $2 fare. If you do not have the $2, they still will give you a ride to get that testing. So I'm hoping the day will come where everyone who needs testing will get that testing. I am hoping the day will come where everyone who needs a mask will have that mask, and we're working on that now. I know there are masks that are on our DDOT buses as they enter the bus from the back, and the bus rides are free, that they can get a mask, and we're asking that everyone wear a mask on the DDOT buses. And I am working to make sure that all our prison systems also have masks inside of the prison systems as well for the prisoners that are in any of the systems, and not just in Detroit, not just in Michigan, but I have talked to our Congress woman, and we'll be talking to our senators too, because we have to make sure everyone is staying safe during this period, and we are protecting lives and saving lives during this period as well. And so we'll be continuing to work on that to ensure that there are masks available to anyone that is incarcerated for any period of time and that they are taken care of. Just noted that we had 623 appointments scheduled at the State Fair site this morning, and there are some that are using the transportation means that the city has set up as well. If we do not have any additional questions or comments, I want to just thank all our panelists for being on with us this morning. And I want to invite you to join me next Friday at the same time, 9 a.m., where we will have another legislative update and a panel focusing on senior matters. Our senior citizens are so important to me. On Tuesday at 10 a.m., I will host another digital community engagement with a state and federal resource panel where you can learn about filing for unemployment, mortgage refinancing, stimulus checks, and small business assistance. On Thursday at 5 p.m., I will host my weekly digital segment on spiritual and mental wellness. For all of these, please use the same number that you used to join us today, or you can watch us on Facebook Live. Please follow me on social media, or if you have any questions or concerns, you can contact 224-1245. You can also call that same number to get a complete listing of all of my weekly and digital media engagements. So I've had a great time hearing from our panelists this morning and sharing. This morning, I was not drinking coffee. I was drinking my bottle of water, trying to get all of my water in. I've had a great time sharing with you this morning with coffee, water, tea, and conversations. I will end simply by saying thank you, and thank you to everyone who's going to be working or who has worked or who's volunteering during this COVID-19 pandemic. Again, this includes police officers, firefighters, medical professionals, postal workers, store clerks, gas station attendants, fast food and restaurant workers, bus drivers, garbage men and women, cab drivers, warehouse workers, all our city employees who are still working. And I know there are many others that I have not named. Soon, I will be highlighting heroes, some of the heroes. You'll find out details on my social media regarding that because they go to work every day during the time of this pandemic. We're able to eat, we're able to drive our cars, we're able to receive our mail, and they're just out there protecting us and protecting our lives. But to protect these workers, I encourage everyone to stay home, stay safe, and only go out if needed for essential services. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. I want to again thank my panelists for joining me this morning. I want to thank Team Jones and the producers for the community engagements that we are putting on in all our legislative updates. Thank you, Team Jones. You are the best. I truly appreciate you. And again, my panelists, thank you for all of the work that you do and for joining us this morning. Again, everyone, stay safe, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again next week on our community digital engagement. God bless you. Keep your family safe. You stay safe as we go through this pandemic. Remember, Detroiters, we are strong.
Council President, I'm sorry, before you end, Jamal said he has an update before you end.
Okay. Such as I've always said, like winter, spring, summer, and fall, we will get through this season of this pandemic. But we have to remember to stay safe, and we have to remember to keep others safe. I will not close until I hear the update from Jamal.
Thank you, Council President. Just real quickly, I do have a direct dial for forestry. This goes directly to forestry, and so that number for anyone listening, I know Al Sneed was listening for BC, and so that number is 313-871-5461. That is the direct dial for forestry with anyone with any forestry issue.
Thank you so much, Jamal. And again, thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Mr. Crump, for all that you do. And thank you to your staff. Jamal, I thank all of General Services and everything they do each day. And Mr. Corley, I don't think you go to sleep. I thank you for all the work that you do. I think you literally sleep the numbers, the budget for the city of Detroit. And I know you've been doing it for such a long time, and you do a great job at what you do, and you work well with the administration. So thank you, Mr. Corley, for the work that you do. And thank you to all of our participants who have joined us this morning at 9 a.m. for coffee, tea, water, and your favorite beverage with Council President Jones in conversation. We are going to tune off, but thank you again for joining us. And I can't say it enough. Please stay safe. Keep your hands out of your face. That's something that we do all the time. They say the average person touches their face at least 20 times per hour. And I know I have to grab myself as I begin to touch my face. I have to think about it, grab my hand sanitizer first, and then touch my face if I feel I still have to. So thank you again for joining us this morning.
Council President,
again,
sorry to interrupt you. I got a text from Lisa Franklin. She has tried to *9. She has a comment to make. I'm going to unmute her mic so that she can make a comment. She had a comment to make. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, I'm going to unmute her mic. It's 170.
170?
Yep, 170. You are unmuted, Miss Lisa.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Yes, I had a few questions, but I mean, not a few questions, but a few statements. I appreciate you having these conversations, but I'm just wondering how accessible it is for people who are hard of hearing or who are deaf. I don't see, I just don't understand how they're able to engage in these meetings, number one. Number two, I have an issue with public transportation and the way that people are riding the bus. I don't know if there's any way that we can make sure that only essential workers are riding the buses. If we can get in contact with the businesses who are essential businesses and find out which employees are taking public transportation and some way we can get them some type of official IDs, maybe have court officers on the bus along with an extra sanitation engineer or some type of sanitation personnel that can sanitize those buses at the end of each route. But we've got to do something aggressive to make sure that people are not reinfecting one another or infecting the entire city. And as far as the process at the state fairgrounds goes, I've had calls about the process, so I would like some coordination with that. We're told that you can get a ride for $2, but then when people have called for transportation, they were told that you had to be a Metrolift already eligible participant in the program in order to use that service. So there was some conflicting information there. I would like that cleared up. And I'd also like to know whether or not the riders on paratransit are also using masks, and if the drivers are sanitizing those vehicles, because they're a much smaller proximity, and there's no way you can have 6 feet of separation. And when people do get a prescription and get an appointment, I've heard from a few people that they've been turned away even if they have a prescription or have an appointment. So we just need a closer communication there to make sure of what's happening. We had one lady who was visually impaired, and she called the health department from our direction so she could get a prescription because her son did not have a doctor. She called the health department, and there was a lot of red tape. She called the health department. They had her go online. She didn't have a computer. She had to have someone go on the computer for her. And then when she went on the computer, it gave her another number for assistance because she needed assistance. And she called that number, and they told her to call back in 7 days. She called back in 7 days, and she was still unable to get through. Now, she had to end up paying $50 for a prescription. So I don't even know if that's legal. I don't even know if that's something that the health department knows is happening. But there's got to be some type of way that we can get a handle on this. And we appreciate you making sure that at some point everybody is tested, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to get rid of this, is to make sure that people that are riding public transportation are not just riding it willy-nilly because there's no cost. We need to make sure that only essential workers are doing that, those buses are sanitized correctly, and that everyone has masks on the bus, on paratransit, and also that our virtual meetings are accessible for people who are deaf or hearing impaired. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your comments. I would like to ask if you could follow up by calling our office so that we can get your phone number so we can get additional information on the person or anyone that you know that are having a problem with transportation. I'm trying to get transportation to the testing sites and any other concerns that you have heard of so that we can follow up on those concerns. We will follow up with DDOT on what is going on with DDOT, and I don't know if legally we can just cut the bus service off to anyone unless they're going to an essential job. So that would be something that would have to be verified and checked on legally, since it is public transportation. So I don't have the answer for that. And again, if you can just call the office and leave your name and number so that we can contact you back with some of the concerns that you have. We can follow up on those. Thank you so much for your concerns, and thank you for tuning in to us this morning. We will be giving information on next week. I think it's next week, and talking to the community on how we're actually able to engage in on the digital engagements. And so we look forward to doing that and working with our media services department on how we can improve what we're doing. Don't know how long we will be doing the virtual meetings, because I do know that the governor had an executive order, and I don't know if that executive order will be extended. So I don't know how long we will be doing the virtual meetings, but we do want to ensure that everyone who wants to participate have the opportunity to participate in the virtual meeting. So we will be following up.
And Council President, do you want to talk about the digital outreach Q&A that we're going to do for the public with IT, what media services, where the public can call in if they're having trouble accessing the council meeting or our digital outreach meetings? We could do some Q&A with them to address whatever concerns that they have. We look to be having that scheduled sometime next week before council's back in session.
Okay, all right. And so again, we will be addressing the concerns that we know we have with having the virtual meetings and helping the public navigate through the concerns that have been brought to our attention. So thank you for calling. Thank you for tuning in and listening, and thank you for being concerned. And again, thank you to all our participants, whether or not you're just listening, whether or not you had a comment. We thank you and we appreciate you for tuning in this morning. And again, I'm going to say thank you to our panelists and thank you to Team Jones. We appreciate all of you who have spent time with us this morning. God bless you and have an awesome weekend. Stay safe.
Council President, before you end, just want to make sure that all of your guests know that you are on 9:10 a.m. Superstation. You will be on 9:10 a.m. on April 22nd and April 29th. That's on Wednesdays from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. And thank you, Council President. Tell them a little bit about 9:10 and what you've been doing on 9:10.
Thank you, Ms. Wesley. 9:10 a.m. I have been talking about COVID-19 and have had panelists talking about different things involved with COVID-19. We started off with Dr. Wendy Ringo, who is here by the CDC looking at what is going on with the coronavirus in the state of Michigan. And she is one of our own from Michigan, and that is Dr. Wendy Ringo. We had her as our panelist on our first show. Also joining us on that first show was one of the sergeants from the city of Detroit, one of our men in blue who had tested positive, and he talked about his diagnosis and the things that he went through as one that had tested positive. Also, Gary Brown has joined us as he talked about ensuring that everyone in the city of Detroit had water per the governor's executive order. We went on to our next week, and I'm trying to remember all of our guests that we've had. Our next week we had joining us Robert Royster of Cole's Funeral Home, who worked for Dr. O'Neill Swanson for many years, and we did a tribute to Dr. O'Neill Swanson, a good friend of mine who would truly be missed in the city of Detroit as an icon. And we also had Mr. Kemp, who is a funeral director, talk about some of the things that are going on with the services and with the families as they face COVID-19 and the services for their loved ones. We have also had joining us Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, 2 different times. He joined us, one talking about the Paycheck Protection program, and also on Wednesday, he joined us talking about the African American population who, the task force who's challenged with the coronavirus. Also, we have had Superintendent Vitti join us talking about Detroit Public School Community District and what is going on with the closures of the schools and how they are still working to get education for our students in Detroit Public School Community District. Let's see, who else have we had join us? I can't think of all our guests, but we have had some awesome guests join us. We had a tribute on this Wednesday from Bishop P.A. Brooks' son, Elder Brooks, join us and do a tribute to his father. And so we look forward to the next 2 weeks as we host on 9:10 a.m. at 7 a.m. in the morning. Grab your favorite beverage and join us on 9:10 a.m. So it has been a pleasure talking to everyone this morning. I don't think I've left anything out. But again, thank you for joining us and thank you for staying with us. And we look forward to continuing to service you and work with you here in the city of Detroit and the surrounding areas, because we know that we've had some callers who are not in the city of Detroit, but we appreciate all our callers that we have as we try to keep people informed. And we have hosted small business fair empowerment, digital small business fair empowerment fairs as well. And so we are trying to just do everything we can to ensure that the citizens and the residents are not missing information that can be vital to them and that can help them. So again, we look forward to talking to you on next week. I'm going to wait a second before I say we're going to end, because as I've said that, someone has said, Council President. So I don't think.
Council President, I just want to make mention that we were just advised that on this coming Wednesday, when you're on 9:10 a.m., it looks like you're going to be joined with Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon and Wayne County Executive Warren Evans. So that's going to be a pretty good show.
All right, so again, you can join us on 9:10 a.m. at 7 a.m. in the morning. Normally people are driving into work at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Please stay home and join us and stay safe. And remember, only go out for essential services and continue to wash your hands with hot water and soap. And if it is not available, continue to use hand sanitizer and keep your hands out of your face and continue to practice social distancing. Again, thank you to all of the people who called me and wished me a full recovery as I was diagnosed with COVID-19. If I may, I'm going to close now and thank everyone for joining us. And again, thank you to Team Jones and thank you to our panelists. God bless you. Have a safe weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Good day.
Yeah.